concerts at AmFam Field, located at 55th and State. Learn more at sazes.com.
Looking for a totally rad flavor adventure, brochachos? Look no further than Surfer Boy Pizza as seen in Stranger Things. Each mouth-watering variety contains rich tomato sauce, delicious mozzarella cheese, and a gnarly range of toppings. The crust is crispy on the outside and airy on the inside. You'll think it was hand-tossed by the Surfer Boy Pizza dudes themselves. Look for it in the freezer aisle at your local store and buckle up your taste buds with Surfer Boy Pizza.
Hey, this is Gabe Neitzel. You're listening to 94.5 ESPN, WKTI and WKTI HD, Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station.
The bag is packed with the sticks. The drinks are cold. And the scorecard's ready to go. Time to hit the links.
You have to hit the ball long at Valhalla. That's the one thing I know about this golf course. Long, straight, and with the way that Rory hit the ball last week, it's easy to see him going, okay, I think maybe he can hang.
This is On the Tee, presented by Wisconsin Golf Trips.
I think Scottie is the favorite, if maybe Rory just because he's on the heels of back-to-back wins, and it's a place where he won before, but until you prove me otherwise, I'm picking Scottie.
Broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studios at the Avenue. Alongside Valley Sports' Stephen Watson, here's Gabe Neitzel.
Sander with victory at Valhalla.
We have crowned our second major champion. That's right, Xander Schauffele, his first major championship, a major championship record, 21 under par, as he is your 2024 PGA champion. That call, of course, Jim Nantz, and courtesy of CBS. It was an interesting Sunday. The leaderboard was jam-packed. It was a horse race. Pin your ears back. Go out and make as many birdies as you can. Your thoughts on Xander Schauffele joining the ranks of major champions, Stephen, in the world of men's professional golf?
Well, that putt that you heard just changed a legacy, and I'm happy for Xander. I think that he gets a bad rap in this game.
Is that because he's too tight with Patrick Cantlay?
Yes.
Okay.
That's exactly what it is. I think he's actually a super nice guy. I had some interactions with him at the Ryder Cup at Whistling Straits, and he seems to be close with a lot of the guys, but I think being tight with Cantlay and being a little bit of an outcast from the boys group that we see in professional golf has given him an image that he doesn't care or he's not the warmest. I think that he's actually beloved, and I think seeing Justin Thomas, the way that he greeted him as he came off, how excited he was for him, he was, and I don't think this is too hot of a take, I think he's the best player to have not won a major until that putt came down on the PGA Tour right now. If you look at his consistency that he has had and how close he's been for a good chunk of time, we knew Xander was going to get one eventually. And
did we? Did we?
Enough bites of the apple.
Sure, but he had been close, and I know one of the things people like to do, especially in the golf world, you go to the Wikipedia page, see how many yellow, top 10 finishes, and there were a lot.
Yeah.
And then when you couple that with what we saw last week at Quail Hollow, where, he was up by 2 after the 7th hole, and then basically had a 9-shot swing after that. Yes, Rory ended up making double or whatever on 18 and still ended up winning by 5. But it was a huge swing down the stretch of, okay, if this is happening at just a signature event, what? And that was something that I wondered, okay, when's this going to show up on Sunday? And credit to Xander, that moment showed up on 18. He made a very sloppy 6 on a golf course that we'll get into later. There wasn't really a lot of trouble to get into, and the only way you were getting in trouble is if you self-inflicted it, and that's exactly what he did on a par 5. There's only 3 of them out there at Valhalla for the championship, and he did it on one of the par 5s. But then he bounces back immediately and is able to right the ship, bringing it into the house by making a birdie on 18 to win it.
Yeah, and he made a double on the back 9 early on, and I kind of felt like, all right, this might be the moment where things start
on Saturday.
Sahith hold out on that same hole, and I was like, all right, this might be where things the train gets off the tire tracks a little bit. But I will say, like, when you think about what he's done consistently, he's finished 11 top 20 finishes, or he's never finished a season with fewer than 11 top 20 finishes.
It's a lot.
He's finished top 10 in 9 of his first 17 majors.
It's a lot.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I know that he had a reputation of not being a closer, but he proved something to me, and now we're talking about Xander Schauffele being one of the best golfers of this era because he got a major championship. And I'm happy for him because of that, because he's played well in Ryder Cups. You know, he was incredible at Whistling Straits here in Wisconsin, and he's going to be on a lot more Ryder Cup teams in the future. You could argue he's the second best golfer in the world right now, behind Scottie. When you look at his actual numbers this year.
You can make that argument. You absolutely could. And the question for him is this going to open up the floodgates? You know, the way it did for like a Phil Mickelson, who had a bunch of those close calls before he finally won his first one and ended up winning 6. Not to say he's going to go on to be Phil Mickelson, but maybe it opens up where he wins a couple more, right? And ends up with 3 or 4 major championships. His game is potentially that good. He's hitting it far enough. I mean, the ball speed getting up near 190 at different points throughout the tournament. I mean, he's got the game. It's okay. What's going on between the ears? Can he be that closer? And he showed, at least in this track, in this moment, he could close. And I don't know if that opens up more, if this just ends up being a one-off where this is his one and only major championship. I'm still not sure, but the good news for him is, you mentioned there's only been 18 major championships for him. 17 major championships for him so far in his career. He's still so young in that career.
Yeah.
He's going to have a lot more opportunities ahead of him.
Well, PGA Championship made sense for him to win that one, because that seems to be the easiest of the 4 majors when you look at who's won it, and not a whole lot of repeats there. You think of a Keegan Bradley, you think of who else is, one and done so far with the PGA Championship?
Jason Duffner, Jason Day. Those are the first few that come to mind.
It tends to be easier golf courses, and for him to have a wire-to-wire win should not be overlooked. At that level, it was incredible that he went wire to wire. I want to see him chase somebody down on a Sunday, and that's going to, I feel like, take Xander to another stratosphere as a golfer. If he can prove that he has that dog in him. Like, he held off a surging Bryson, and Morikawa, unfortunately, just didn't show up on Sunday. So that wasn't much of a really thought for Xander, but he looked at that leaderboard. He knew what he had to do, and he birdied the final hole to win a major. Like, that should not be overlooked for what he did to go out and win this thing.
Sure. Again, when you saw, if you happen to be watching any of the live from coverage on Golf Channel, I mean, tip of the cap to Johnson Wagner, man. Yeah. Like, he's now, after the drop that Xander got last week, when he went out and then, see, you just punch it through this little hole, anybody can do it. Now they're sending him out to recreate all these different shots throughout the course of the day. When he's standing out on 18 and he attempts to hit the shot that Xander did, and he's talking about, well, there's fine. There's like one spot really he couldn't hit it, right? And he was going to have a decent chance to get it up and down. Now, he still had to go out and execute it, but we'll get into that about, okay, what did we really see in terms of these guys getting tested? We'll get into that later in the show. I mean, credit to Xander for going out and doing it. And I was excited because I was in a mode very early. I was rooting for Sahith. It was very apparent very early that he didn't have it. So then I turned, and I know you disagreed from this, I was in anyone but Bryson mode. I like the fact that Bryson is around. I don't need him winning more major championships, because when I look at Bryson DeChambeau, and it's not even about the personality stuff, because I think he's done a really good job of almost rebranding himself. He's had so many ebbs and flows, and one of those high points was right here in Wisconsin up at Whistling Straits when he drove the green on Sunday in his singles match against Sergio Garcia. And then he goes and does the live thing and sues the PGA Tour and is not very self-aware. And a lot of his YouTube stuff, it's a lot of fun. But when I look at Bryson DeChambeau, I see a lot of what's wrong with the especially professional game today. When he's trying to find a driver where, all I have to do is swing hard. It's not about hitting the middle of the face. No, I just, I'm looking for a ball that goes straight, even if I hit it off the heel or I hit it off the toe. Or he's talking about his 3D printed irons that, I can just kind of hit it anywhere and it goes straight. Like, that to me is a lot what's wrong with the professional game, and that's embodied in Bryson DeChambeau. Like, Now, are you actually good, or do you just have this equipment where you can hit it wherever you want? Like, what are we actually testing? And maybe he ends up being that breaking point where a lot of this equipment stuff changes, because if you can just hit it anywhere on the face and have kind of the success that he's had, like, what are we actually testing at the professional game?
I could not disagree more, Gabe. He's one of one. I think he's incredible for golf. And here's why. I continue to marvel over the character arc of Bryson DeChambeau. One day he's a hero. We saw that here in Whistling Straits. One day he's a villain. We saw him try to sue the PGA Tour. But he's just a lovable loser. And I think his personality as...
By the way, suing the PGA Tour, I mean, it wasn't that long ago that this guy went, man, we need to come together. Whoever broke this should probably fix it. That wasn't that long ago. This guy's still kind of a dumbass.
Not kind of. He is. But he's a lovable dumbass.
Is he? I don't. I like him there as a villain. And look, I understand. Like, he was a fan favorite, and I like the thing that he did. There was a video circulating on social media after the tournament of he flipped a ball to a kid, and an adult like stole it from the kid, and he hey. Like, I love that part of it. So Bryson is very complicated, and I understand. I probably see more of the negative, especially when it comes to some of the equipment stuff, but. I do not, under any circumstance, look for myself or find myself rooting for Bryson.
He's golf's greatest showman, and that's not a bad thing. He is who he is. You're not going to change him at this point. He's been that way since the beginning. And I kind of appreciate that he's unapologetically himself. And maybe he's lost in what his true self is, because I think he's definitely playing to a younger crowd and the YouTube stuff and trying to be likable. But he's also just kind of an introvert, kind of a loser. And I mean that in a nice way. I'm not saying like he...
What are you trying to say? You just called him a loser, and now you're trying to kick save it. Like, you call someone a loser, guess what, Steven? That's not a compliment, bud. Like,
I believe I called him a lovable loser.
Like, I mean, yeah, but when you use the term lovable loser, you think of a team like the Chicago Cubs where, yeah, they just lost all the time, and it was kind of cute. Like, not like, hey, you personally, as an individual, are a loser. But what are we doing here, man? Like, even I'm not going that far. I think you might hate him more than I do.
No, I don't hate him.
Based on the words you have chosen to use, I think you hate him more than I do.
Gabe, I kind of love him. I'm conflicted, just like he's conflicted in who he is.
Sure.
But I watched him at the Masters on Sunday, and as much as I was rooting for, Scottie to go out and finish and do his thing, like, it's captivating television with Bryson. His meltdown is just as entertaining as the best golfer in the world going out there and taking it. We saw it this weekend with Xander. Like, Bryson and his heroics and the club, in the air and the fist pumps that he dropped 50 times this weekend. Golf needs that. We need more of that. We can't just have it be a boys' club who are all friends. Like, we need a villain. And maybe he's a hero. And maybe he's a lovable loser. Maybe he doesn't know who he is. But for us, we have to remember these guys are entertainers. And nobody entertains like Bryson. And sure, I think he's incredible for the game because of it.
I think we can reach across the aisle and agree there. He is definitely an entertainer. But to me, he's still the villain. He's still the guy that broke this game.
And that's a good thing.
He is one of the biggest reasons that men's professional golf is in the spot in which it's in right now. And until he grapples with that, I can't find myself rooting for him. I can't find myself going, yeah, this guy broke the game, refuses to take any accountability for it, and is looking around going, man, who did this? Whew. Man, whoever did this, we got to fix this quick. Forever, clean up after these morons that did this. He's the one who did it. He's the one who broke up the game. And now I only get to see him really in tournaments that matter 4 times per year. He's the one making golf more of a niche sport. So no, I am not going to root for that guy. I refuse to root for that guy.
I will agree with you that he has perpetuated that narrative. But that narrative is consistent among all LIV players right now. The guys who all went out, chased the money, got the money, and then said, why can't we just come together? Like, they're all lost. But that, I think, is part of the messaging. There is a a deep messaging with all these live guys of this was always the plan, and we're going to talk about it like this. Phil does it. Gooch does it. The only one who doesn't is Brooks because he just doesn't care. Rahm does it. Rahm talked about this week that he's still a PGA Tour member.
You want to talk about dumbasses.
But that's what I'm saying. These guys.
There was a tweet.
He's a loser right now, by the way.
I think it was Auntie Faldo is the one who had the tweet of, I asked my wife for an open marriage, and she said no, and then still got really upset when I slept with that person when I was out in New York. So no, I don't live in the house. We're currently separated, but I still consider her my wife. That's basically what Rahm said. Like, what are we doing?
Well, that's what I'm saying is I feel like that messaging is consistent among all live golfers, and I think that is part of the gig right now for them.
Which is why most of them are villains.
They're trying to eat their cake and have it too. And I'm not disagreeing that Bryson's the villain, but he had a lot of people supporting him this weekend. There were a lot of people who wanted Bryson to win. They wanted to see the show. They wanted the spectacle. And that's where I come from as a golf fan. I don't like him. I don't support what he's done. I agree wholeheartedly with you about how he is one of the people who has ruined this game. And this game is where it is because of people like Bryson. But that doesn't mean that I didn't enjoy the spectacle that was this weekend.
I enjoyed rooting against him.
And that's great. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I was excited when he didn't hit a good wedge onto, 17, where he's got gap wedge into, because he just...
Are you kidding me? 15 on Sunday at Augusta when he chunked it into the water?
That was fantastic.
That was incredible television.
Yeah.
But we need Bryson. That's what I'm saying. We need him. It's getting a little stale. And the one thing you can say about PGA versus Live is that it's created villains. And it's allowed people to root against more people.
Or they just all went there.
Sure. but some of them are able to come back and play in these events. So in these major championships, when the Live guys show up, they've done pretty well.
Did Taylor Gooch even make the cut?
I only wanted to say his name once, and then we're done.
You said his name, and I honestly... Again, it was a busy weekend. There's a lot. We'll get into the one thing that had the entire sports world buzzing here in just a moment. But I completely forgot that Taylor Gooch got an invite to this event. The best iron player in the last 20 years. Did he make the cut? I honestly don't have any idea. I know he wasn't anywhere near the top of the leaderboard, but he could have been, somebody who made the cut.
Whenever I would look at the leaderboard, I did not look for that last name.
All right,
if that says anything.
Okay, maybe he made the cut, maybe he didn't. Guess what? I don't care enough to even look it up at this point, but you mentioned Scottie. And that was the big story that came out of the PGA. Scottie Scheffler, it shocked everybody. We're going to dive into that coming up next, but I do want to tell you about our friends at Wisconsin Golf Trips. They bring you us right here on the tee each and every week. Jason and his team do such a great job of booking people to come here to Wisconsin and booking people to go outside of Wisconsin, like the trip we are taking to Scotland in October. Text GOLF, GOLF, right now to 800-990-3776. Get more details about our trip to Scotland. Spots are filling up, so you need to sign up now. GOLF to 800-990-3776. Take a look at the great inventory that Jason's been able to put together when we go over to play some of the greatest golf courses in the world, thanks to our friends at Wisconsin Golf Trips.
Back to the course and on the tee with Gabe and Steven after this on 94.5 ESPN. Wilde and Tout, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Also sponsored by Coors Light.
You are looking live. I am looking live at 18 different things. I've got my glasses on. I can read it. If you don't want to do it, fine. I'll just lean over.
I got it.
Trade proposal. No, forget you. You had your chance. And you compared me to your grandpa.
May he rest in peace.
Wilde and Tausch, weekdays 9 to noon on 94.5 ESPN. And available wherever you get your podcasts with Wisconsin On Demand.
Hey guys, it's ESPN Milwaukee's Gabe Neitzel here to give you some advice. If you're making plans to propose to that special someone in your life, the Jewelry Center has to be your stop for the ring. It's what I did. They're the best place to shop for diamond engagement rings in Milwaukee for a reason. I didn't know what to get, but with help of a Pinterest board, the Jewelry Center and their team of specialists took care of everything from start to finish. Naturally mined diamonds, lab-grown diamonds, whatever you're in the market for, when it comes to an engagement ring, the Jewelry Center has it. Find locations and inventory online at shoptjc.com.
Derek Jeter for American Family Insurance.
Life's better when you're under the American Family Insurance roof because they'll help protect your family's dreams. Whether it's a kid like me aiming for the big leagues, a future rocket scientist, or a budding prima ballerina, you can count on an American Family Insurance agent to help you dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
What do you get when you combine grilled-to-order deliciousness with only the finest Wisconsin cheeses? Cousin Sub's new Wisconsin cheese steaks, featuring either steak or chicken, bacon, cheddar cheese, sautéed onions, and their new Cheddar Supreme cheese sauce. It's a match made in dairy heaven. And the decadence doesn't stop there. Pair your Wisconsin cheesesteak with their new Orange Dream Shake. All are available for a limited time only. Order in store, online, or via the mobile app. Cousin Subs. We believe in better.
A season of award-winning golf at Sweetgrass and Sage Run is on the horizon. The Island Resort and Casino stay-and-play golf packages are booking fast, with choice dates available early in the week. After your rounds, visit the Drift Spa for a relaxing or targeted massage session. And enjoy dinner at Horizon's scenic top-floor steakhouse. So many reasons to take a drive. Book your stay-and-play golf package today. Visit islandresortgolf.com.
Change the way you do business and take more control of the payment process with Fifth Third Bank's Treasury Management Solutions. Their market expertise and managed services streamline the entire payment process and integrate with your existing systems, giving you more control than ever. With their suite of payment solutions, you will soon recognize new revenue sources that can save time, offset operating costs, and improve the bottom line, all customized for your business. Fifth Third Bank National Association. Custom solutions built around your goals. Member FDIC.
QC Kinetics provided amazing pain relief for a former professional baseball player, and you have access to the same life-changing treatments as retired pitcher Jose Alvarez.
I put a lot of stress and strain and work on my right arm, but my right elbow took most of the damage with 3 surgeries.
Arthritis developed, and the pain was unbearable.
It wasn't just pain when I was trying to play sports. It was anytime I was moving the right elbow. It was pretty excruciating at times.
That's when Jose discovered QC Kinetics and their regenerative treatments that help the body heal itself, restoring damaged tissue and providing relief with no surgery or downtime. Jose's message to the medical professionals at QC Kinetics:
my elbow is feeling outstanding. Where were you 10 years ago, for crying out loud?
QC Kinetics is right here. Call for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
You're listening to On the Tee with Gabe Neitzel and Stephen Watson on 94.5 ESPN.
Scottie Scheffler was a big talking point heading into the PGA because he always is. Like, that's just the way when you are as dominant as Scottie has been, you're always going to be a talking point. Scottie Scheffler became a bigger talking point than just the regular PGA championship.
Or being a new dad.
The
fascinating storyline coming in.
He is, with all the shows that I'm fortunate enough to do, whether I'm talking about Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, some of the stuff I do nationally, the only person we've really talked about has been Scottie Scheffler in the first 2 majors. One, because we were having the conversation around the Masters of, well, if he's leading, is he actually going to leave if his wife goes into labor, which she was still a month away from actually giving birth to their first child, and congratulations to them for that. And then it dominated the conversation. It's literally, I think, the only thing we talked about on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy on Friday. It dominated the shows I did over the weekend on ESPN Radio as well. The arrests and subsequent felony charge to Scottie Scheffler over what happened early Friday morning outside Valhalla in Kentucky.
Gabe, that I think I speak for most golf fans where you could have picked 100 other golfers that I would have woken up to that morning and seen that news before Scottie Scheffler. Maybe 500 other golfers.
If I power ranked everyone in the field, he was last. In terms of most to least likely to get arrested. Like, John Daly's probably one, right? Like, okay, John went out, did something stupid. Okay, I get that. DJ's probably relatively high up on that list, given some of the history that he has had. I mean, golfers, by definition, like Tiger obviously has had some issues in the past, so I think Tiger would have had to, unfortunately, been high up on that list.
A hothead like Hatton or Rahm,
some sort of road
rage moment.
Something like that. But instead, Scottie Scheffler, when I saw the tweet from Jeff Darlington before 6 a.m. Central on Friday, Scottie Scheffler is in handcuffs right now?
I thought I was still dreaming. When I woke up, this can't be right. Because at first I saw the headline.
Yeah.
And then I saw the video, and, the more we learned, it all made sense. That was, just like we just previously talked about, the way Bryson kind of takes you on an emotional roller coaster. That was one of the more emotional days I've had as a golf fan. From the moment I woke up. Because it started with shock. When I learned why there was a traffic delay, it led me to sadness, thoughts and prayers with the family.
Mm-hmm.
And then it led me to confusion as to what does this mean for Scottie? Where is he going? Is he done? Is he going to play?
When I jumped on WTMJ, because I do a hit on Wisconsin's Morning News before we start Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, so I'm on their show at 6:50 in the morning on Fridays. And at that point, so I had been aware of the story for about an hour. And was trying to collect as much information as I could, watching Darlington on SportsCenter, listening to Join on Sportsmanlike on ESPN Radio, just trying to figure out what the hell was going on. I thought there was 0% chance that he was going to play.
I agree.
I thought there was 0% chance because at that point, and we didn't even know what the charges were at that point, then that one of them was going to be a felony charge. But I figured, okay, this is just going to take him too long to go through the process. Like if they're actually cuffing him and an officer said into a phone, into a camera that Darlington was running, there's nothing you can do, he's going to jail. All right, well, he's got to get processed, he's got to get booked. Well, he's probably going to have to go in front of a judge so a judge can set bail. And obviously not all of those steps ended up happening. Not a lawyer, not completely familiarized with the legal process, and he was able to get out before his tee time. But I thought there was no chance that, man, this is going to take half the day. There's no way he's going to be able to get back out there.
Yeah, and of course, play was delayed because of the traffic buildup, the weather also playing a factor in that as well. So that bought him a little bit more time. And then hearing that he was making his way to the golf course, Gabe, was gripping television. It was. It was. And again, I
say, one of the co-owners of Valhalla was the one who picked him up.
Watching him arrive, waiting for him to come out of the clubhouse, watching the clock ticking down on his tee time and wondering how much is this going to mess up his round routine, only to find out that he was doing a little stretching in the jail cell, so he got ahead of it.
Let's go ahead and listen to that because that's an unbelievable audio clip. It has to be so surreal. Watching your own arrests on television as you're in a holding cell. Let's hear Scottie Scheffler tell the story.
When I was sitting in the holding cell or whatever, there was a TV there and I could see myself on the TV on ESPN, and it was Get Up was on, and so in the corner it showed the time and it said they were delayed, and I was kind of thinking about my tee time. I was like, well, maybe I could be able to get out. The officers downstairs had. They were discussing how long it was going to take me to get released. Obviously you have to go through all the due process and everything. And, I was able to kind of see a bit of the TV, and, then I laid down and then I started to stretch a little bit once I got my heart rate down a little bit.
And again, that's with Scottie talking about, again, sitting there, doing the math, being able to calm himself down enough to start stretching in his jail cell to
what
to
I would
get
give
himself...
for that video is to see the other inmates looking around. Maybe some of them know who he is. Maybe people are confused. But, man, I also, shout out to Twitter, X, whatever you want.
Yeah.
It was on fire on Friday.
The memes were good.
That gave me hope.
The memes were
that gave
good.
me hope for social media.
Usually it is just bad over on X. Friday we had a good time.
Yeah.
Friday the memes were good.
Yeah. I will say this, though. I was still very young when the OJ chase happened in the White Bronco.
Sure.
This felt like golf's White Bronco moment.
Sure.
In the way that I was not leaving my television set. I was holding on for every step that Scottie took, every practice shot he hit, into him walking up to the tee box, what the reception would be like. What he would do on the first hole. Oh, he'd go out and birdie it. What he would do the entire round.
I thought he was going to hit the fairway on the first hole, would have lost a lot of money. Was trying to figure out if I could find a way to bet that. But because of all the confusion, a lot of the Scottie prop bets, because we were looking, Potawatomi Sportsbook, obviously a partner here for ESPN Milwaukee, and on the morning show, Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. And understandably so, a lot of the the sports books just didn't have Scottie Scheffler bets available because you didn't know if he was going to play. And I would have certainly bet, if I could have, the under on whatever it would have been, and I'm sure it would have hit because I was so confident he was going to shoot a good round because this guy has been so locked in, and he can compartmentalize to the point of he left that behind him and was able to go out and shoot a tremendous round on Friday.
And we learned he was running on pure adrenaline, right? I mean, you saw what happened to him on Saturday. His first over par round in 42 rounds. But I will say...
And I think that was doubled with not having Ted Scott.
Of course, that was a big part of it as well. But I think we also learned who Scottie is and just how dangerous he might be moving forward in golf. If he can handle that with that level of poise, his mental toughness, the way he was able to compartmentalize, as you mentioned, like that showed me the type of competitor that Scottie is and the way that he can lock in to a level that most athletes can't, and most humans like ourselves could never even imagine what that level of focus is like.
And whether or not he truly believed it at the time, knowing that the charges were going to be dismissed, right? And I think that kind of helps because in his mind, he didn't do, and I don't think he did, really anything wrong. I mean, could the things that he could have done better? Sure. Did he do anything wrong to the point where he should have been handcuffed and charged with a second-degree felony? No. Right? So, that, I mean, there was, but having that belief of, okay, I really didn't do anything that wrong, these charges are going to be dismissed, I think helps him to be able to compartmentalize that and go, all right, it's probably going to be dismissed. I can deal with that later, have to focus on the task at hand. But it also tells you, like you said, man, this guy can be this focused. This guy can kind of put things to the side and focus on that task at hand, which is going to make him dangerous at Pinehurst, which is going to make him dangerous at Troon, which is going to make him dangerous later in the season because he famously, as good as he's been over the last 2 years, has not won an event in his PGA Tour career after the Masters, after the month of April. It's just not it's just not something that he's necessarily done.
I just can't believe that a Scottie Scheffler mugshot is going to live forever.
Can we talk about how quickly those people were able to turn those shirts around?
Yeah.
The fact that he's walking by and people on the course are wearing free Scottie T-shirts, like that is, I mean, again, it's not the most creative thing, but I'm just talking about the sheer amount of quick turnaround time of to have that T-shirt ready to go as you're walking and he's playing his round. That's unbelievable to me.
Yeah, people never fail in those types of situations. Everybody's going to try and find their moment, and good creativity. Got to give a tip of the cap to some of the fans out there. And
you talked about people getting behind Bryson, and everything that, and again, don't have a problem with that. One of the issues with Scottie Scheffler that we've talked about is he's kind of bland, he's kind of boring, and again, he's still bland and boring. But I think that this kind of got the crowd even more behind him at Valhalla. And I think that this could kind of rally some fans behind him and give him some more support and understanding how dominant he is and make him less boring and make him more of that big face of golf that everybody knows and is excited to root for.
And not surprisingly, not only did Scottie handle this with poise, but he handled it with class.
Oh, 100%. The way he handled his press conference that we just heard the clip from earlier was...
The fact that he could joke about stretching in his cell, the fact that there were, other police officers inside the jail cell who were offering him sandwiches, knowing who he was and knowing that this was a big misunderstanding at the end of the day. And yes, and the way that he eloquently spoke about the tragic loss of that day, which should not be lost in this entire conversation as well. None of this happens without that really tragic incident that happened. But yeah, I think this definitely elevated Scottie and who he is and what he means to the game of golf and fans. And this will always be with him. This will always end up being, a part of his legacy, for better or for worse. As I said, that mugshot will always surface, but only positives were taken away from it from how Scottie has been branded moving forward from this incident. And, man, you just have to respect the heck out of what he did and focused and how he handled that entire situation.
You mentioned it earlier of, taking Xander Schauffele, who was probably the most talented, maybe the best player without a major. Who is that player now? Who takes over that mantle? We discuss next. But first, I do have to tell you about a different championship golf course right here in Wisconsin. I am talking about The Bog. GolfTheBog.com is the website to go check it out. 18 championship holes on a beautiful landscape just north of the city of Milwaukee. If you haven't been out there, Steven and I were out there every year for the Mac Fund event, golfing 100 holes. We get to go around and around. It's a course we've gotten to know intimately over the years after playing 100 holes in a day out there. And you're going to love the golf course. Very fun, very playable, and still challenging all at the same time. GolfTheBog.com is the website you need to go to book your tee time today.
No ifs, ands, or puts. There's more On the Tee with Gabe and Steven coming up on 94.5 ESPN.
Hi, I'm David Gruber. When you've been seriously injured, you need the best team of professionals on your side. Call Wisconsin's own Gruber Law Offices to get the results you deserve. One call, that's all.
Golfers, listen up. It's Gabe Neitzel from On the Tee, and we are heading to Scotland with our friends at Wisconsin Golf Trips. That's right, Scotland. You can join myself and Stephen Watson as we head overseas to play some of the best courses in the world. This package includes green fees, lodging, transportation, and more. But there are only a limited amount of spots available, so sign up now. For information on the trip and a link for paying, you can text GOLF right now to the ESPN Milwaukee Talk and Text line at 800-990-3776. That's GOLF to 800-990-3776.
The Bog in Saukville is Ozaukee County's best golf experience. 18 championship holes designed by legendary golfer Arnold Palmer cater to golfers of all skill levels. Settled amongst over 250 acres of beautiful private land, the Bog offers a truly unforgettable golf experience. Play the finest greens of Wisconsin, and after your round, have a signature cocktail while enjoying our Friday fish fry from the clubhouse overlooking the 18th green. It's time to golf, Wisconsin. It's time to enjoy the Bog.
Spring is here, and your Milwaukee and Chicago area IKEA stores are rolling the savings outdoors for the annual Sidewalk Sale. Visit IKEA Oak Creek, Bolingbrook, and Schaumburg from May 10th to the 27th for a wide variety of furniture and home furnishings at big discount. New products will be added throughout the sale, and don't miss IKEA's Sidewalk Sale Super Saturdays, May 11th, 18th, and 25th, where the first 200 IKEA family members receive a $25 gift card. Not an IKEA family member yet? Visit IKEA.com/US to sign up today.
Get the best of both worlds when you visit X Golf at American Family Field. Hi, it's Gabe Neitzel from Jen, Gabe, and Chewy and On the Tee. I love golf. I love baseball. And if you're like me, Brewers game days are the best when they're at X Golf. Book a simulator, bring a group, enjoy the great food and beverage options, and get a unique view of the game. Right now, you can head to brewers.com/tickets and get both sim time and game tickets. Plus, hit a hole-in-one at X Golf and Fan Field any day of the year, and you and a buddy can take a trip down Bernie's Slide. X Golf and fanfield.com.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings discount liquor. If it's a celebrate or tailgate when you're gonna recreate upstate. If it's a holiday, birthday, any date, you can save at Discount Liquor.
Hi, this is Marie from Discount Liquor. It's time to stock up for your Memorial Day weekend celebrations. Whether you need a couple of cases, a cold half barrel, a great bottle of wine, your favorite craft beer, or hard-to-find liquor, you'll find it at Discount Liquor, all at the lowest prices in town. Visit us at 51st in Oklahoma and Milwaukee, and on Barstow in Maine in downtown Waukesha. Voted best liquor store in Milwaukee again. Have a happy and safe Memorial Day weekend from all of us at Discount Liquor.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings Discount Liquor.
Check out all of our weekly specials at discountliquorinc.com.
Head on in to Fleet Farm to take your lawn and garden to the next level this spring. This week, get Miracle-Gro Garden Soil on sale for only $3.99. Pick up 3 pounds of Scott's Turf Builder Sun and Shade Grass Seed at the lowest price of the season, just $12.99. And stop by our garden center to shop over 100 different types of seed and plant varieties. Find everything you need for your everyday life at Fleet Farm.
We know that the people of Wisconsin are hard workers, that they're tough. But even the toughest among us need help after a serious accident. If you've been injured, call Gruber Law Offices today. One call, that's all.
This is On the Tee with Gabe Neitzel and Stephen Watson on 94.5 ESPN.
Offices, one call, that's all. We've been a little more creative with these this year here on the tee. Typically, we've done this in the past, just picking who's going to win on the PGA Tour, who's going to win this event, all those sorts of things. But we've taken it a bit of a different direction. So now, our Gruber Law Offices, one call, that's all week, for this week, I should say, is this simple question. Who is the best golfer without a major on the PGA Tour? Xander Schauffele certainly had a claim for that. Again, it's not a distinction that you didn't necessarily want if you're out there on the PGA Tour. I know Steve Stricker was one who certainly was on that list during his PGA Tour career and never got to that major championship. But Xander, cross him off the list. He's got that major championship. He's in the exclusive club of major champions on the men's professional side. Who to you, Stephen, is your Gruber Law Office's one call, that's all, of the best golfer on the PGA Tour, or I guess you could include Liv if there's somebody over there, who does not have a major?
This was hard because there's recency bias. There's those who have had a lot of cracks at it that haven't been able to get over the hump. But I'm simply just going to go with who I believe is the golfer who might do it next. And I probably wouldn't have said it coming into the weekend, but I'm going to say it coming out of the weekend, and it's Viktor Hovland for me.
Okay.
Because he was lost this golf season coming into the PGA Championship. And, you know, he told Jason Sobel
did you see what he told Jason Sobel?
That he thought about withdrawing from the PGA Championship and not playing because his game was so lost, which, again, goes to show just how hard this game is. You know, for us as just regular golfers, it's one thing. At that level, this guy just won the FedEx Cup last year, dominated the Ryder Cup.
I was about to say, it wasn't that long ago where, like, chipping was a weakness for this guy, and he was nipping a chip off the first green at the Ryder Cup because he was on the green, had to get over a hump, so he decided, I've got confidence enough to hit a little nippy chip off of the green, off of the putting surface, and he's holding that out. It's like, okay, well, we're all screwed. Victor, look at what Victor's doing now.
But I do believe that he has the most raw talent of guys who have not won a major championship at this point. His youth plays into that, of course. 4 top 7 finishes in his last 7 majors. And that is why I think he's going to be the next one to win one because, and maybe not win one, but he's the best right now who hasn't won one because I've already told you who I'm picking for the U.S. Open, so I have to keep that on the record.
Yeah, well, but that's the guy I think it is.
Yeah, and those are the 2 names I wrote down.
Yeah, and I think those are probably the 2 that come to top of mind. Of course, the other name being Max Homa, who has, and we've talked about Max's career arc, which has been so fascinating, of being such a good amateur player, being a great player in college, getting the PGA Tour, failing, having to go back to the Korn Ferry Tour and building it back up. And it seems like he has taken these steps in his career. And last year at the British Open, it seemed like that was the next kind of evolution of Max of, okay, you've been really good. You've won some signature events. You've been pretty good in these team events. Okay, what do you do next? And being as good as he was at the Open and being the best player, granted, it's not a big distinction because Team USA kind of stunk at the Ryder Cup, but he was still the best player and hit some very clutch and quality shots when the pressure meant the most, when the Ryder Cup was still on the line. And he's been able to kind of take these steps, what he did at Augusta.
Yeah, T3.
You know, and he fell off a little bit on the back 9, but he was relevant on the back 9 of a major, right? Like, these are the steps and evolution of Max Homa's career. So I think I would lean towards Max just because and as strange as this sounds, I want to know if what Viktor Hovland has been working on is for real. Because sometimes, especially in golf, whether it's, I switched it to a new putter and things are working out great, and it's just kind of a Band-Aid, I want to know how much of these changes for Vic are actually true. And I know he's back working with his old swing coach, and maybe that was a big reason for the huge lull and big disconnect we had between last year's Ryder Cup and now the PGA this year, because he's been bad. Just straight up bad. In that stretch for the last, I guess 5 months of the PGA Tour season since it officially began in January. So I want to know if it's, okay, is it a Band-Aid and he was able to, or is it actually something that's sustainable going forward? I definitely want to see that out of Vic. I suspect it's sustainable based on what we saw at the end of last year, knowing that he's working with his old swing coach again. But, I mean, that is something that's true of, I'm going to ride this swing feel and maybe it's going to work out for me, after he had struggled for so long.
Yeah, sometimes all it takes for these guys at that level is just a reminder of how good they are.
Yeah.
And that they don't need to be chasing something when they can just remember. I mean, Rory talks about that all the time. He looked at himself before Valhalla, lifting up that trophy in 2014. He goes, I need to find him again.
Mm-hmm.
And for these guys, that's all it takes. For Victor, it's a lot more recent. He can just say, let's find that Vic from the end of last season and the Ryder Cup. I actually think these two names could be the next two major winners. I could see, and I've said it and I'll say again, I think Max is winning at Pinehurst. And I could see Victor winning the Open.
Over your guy, Scottie. I thought we were picking Scottie till further notice.
Yeah, Scottie's, I mean, he's a criminal now, so it's hard to
He's unpredictable.
It's hard to trust what he's going to do.
It's unpredictable.
You got to drive on the other side of the road, right? At the Open.
Oh, man, that's going to be tough for him. He's got to make sure you got to get a driver. Yeah, you got to make sure you get a driver for that one if you're Scottie.
But if these two guys win those majors and win their first, I wouldn't be surprised. If Scottie won all, I wouldn't be surprised. But those are names that I feel like they're knocking on the door. Victor's been doing it at a better rate than Max. To your point earlier, Max only has 2 top 10s at majors, and he's played in 19 of them.
Yeah.
So,
but they've been 2 of his last 3.
Correct, and that's a great point. So this feels like the year of guys winning their first.
Yeah, and I mean, we had obviously some last year. Brian Harman. You never know what happens in majors. Like, nobody had Brian Harman running away and hiding from everybody at last year's Open Championship. I think there are still some young guys out there. If I'm picking, the next on the list after that, I'm really curious what happened to Cam Young, because that dude seems like he is full of potential and full of, talent that can compete at this level. Will Zalatoris, I think, would have been on this list. The back and those issues seem to still be a question mark for him.
Played well at the Masters.
Yep.
I could see him wearing a green jacket one day.
Because he was somebody where that game consistently shows up at major championships. Maybe not this one where you have to make a bunch of birdies, but certainly I think his name belongs on that list as well.
I'm fascinated you have not said Patrick Cantlay yet.
Oh, I wasn't anywhere because I don't know what's going on with him, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he's making decisions for the PGA Tour. He's not appearing on first pages of leaderboards. Like I was about to say, I was going to go Ludwig. Aubert.
Yeah.
I think
that's a better
that
pick.
I think that he's closer to winning a major championship than Patrick Cantlay at this point.
Yeah, I agree.
And obviously Ludwig now he missed the cut, but he was very relevant in his first major ever at the Masters.
Yeah.
And he was dealing with a knee issue. Probably a big reason why he missed the cut, because he didn't play at Quail Hollow the week before the PGA. So as long as it doesn't seem like it's super serious, but as long as he gets that knee under control, I would expect him to have an opportunity at the next 2 majors as well.
And one quick question for you. If you were to pick right now how many majors Xander finishes with, where do you go?
2. I think he gets 1 more. It's just so hard in today's game because the field is just so deep. Rory has not won one in a decade, and he's been top 10 basically that entire time.
Yeah.
Mostly top 5 that entire time, and he hasn't rattled one off. Scottie is as good as Scottie is. He only has 2 right now, and they've both been at Augusta. So it's just so hard to pick who's going to win, because I think that there is so much talent right now, especially young talent. We just mentioned Ludwig. Like, there's so much young talent coming into the game. It's just so hard to predict any sort of large numbers for any player. Like, you might be able to convince me to go to 5 for Scottie, because he's been that good. But also, like, weird things happen sometimes at major championships.
Yeah.
Now, what happened to him goes to the top of the list.
It's crazy not thinking about Scottie having more than Brooks when it's all said and done.
Sure.
But it's hard, man.
Yeah, and I think that's the point. And golf is in a really good spot talent-wise. They just got to, again, bring all that talent together. We also want to talk about PGA Championship venues. We do that coming up next after I tell you about our friends at X Golf and American Family Field, where you can combine 2 things I love, baseball and golf. Get your sim time and game tickets all in the same place. Just go to the Brewers Single Ticket Game website. You can get your game tickets and get your swim time. Go check out the great food and drink specials they have at X Golf and American Family Field. Plus, if you're playing a regular round of golf out there, you make a hole-in-one, you and somebody else get to go down Bernie's Slide. Learn more, xgolfamfanfield.com.
Forget about changing that dial. More On the Tee with Gabe and Steven next on 94.5 ESPN. Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Also sponsored by American Family Insurance.
Trade proposal. Christian Watson. Packers receive Justin Jefferson. I think I found a way for us to get Ayuk, Jefferson, and T. Higgins and not have to give up all that much.
Weekdays 9 to noon on 94.5 ESPN and available wherever you get your podcasts with Wisconsin On Demand.
You've probably heard about employee stock ownership plans before, but what separates Fifth Third Bank from others when it comes to these plans? A succession plan that benefits business owners and employees. Full and partial sales, second stage transactions, repurchase obligation financing, and seller note refinancing, ESOPs can offer tax advantages, increased liquidity, employee incentives, and overall diversification of net worth to help your company plan for the future. Fifth Third Bank, National Association, custom solutions built around your goals. Member FDIC.
Show the world what your business is made of with 3 Tree Marketing.
So at 3 Tree, we're storytellers through merchandise. Every brand we work with has a unique story, and we're there to tell it using merchandise, display, appreciation, and gifting.
President Kevin Van Rossum knows that's important.
There's promo peddlers again, or tchotchke vendors, or whatever cliche people want to use. So we work with our client partners to become an extension of their team. We provide ideas, unique offerings that fit budget, timing, as well as messaging.
Check out why 3 Tree is the partner you need. 3treemarketing.com.
They say seeing is believing, and when you see what's inside at American Place Casino, you better believe you're gonna love it. Because when it comes to amazing gaming, we're a real game changer. With the most exciting of table games like blackjack, craps, and roulette, the newest slots, a sports book, restaurants, bars, and more. So if you're ready for excitement, we'll see you soon. American Place Casino. Change the game.
Must be 21 years of age or older. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537.
Get the beat of the Bucks straight from a fan favorite and Bucks legend. Tap into Here District with Marcus Johnson, a Bucks Plus audio production. Your weekly pulse on the Milwaukee Bucks and conversations with the biggest names in basketball. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. This week, Marcus and his son Chris talk to the Bucks mental performance coach, Dr. Craig Manning. Find Here District now on Bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, or wherever you get your podcast.
Hey guys, it's ESPN Milwaukee's Gabe Neitzel here to give you some advice. If you're making plans to propose to that special someone in your life, the Jewelry Center has to be your stop for the ring. It's what I did. They're the best place to shop for diamond engagement rings in Milwaukee for a reason. I didn't know what to get, but with help of a Pinterest board, the Jewelry Center and their team of specialists took care of everything from start to finish. Naturally mined diamonds, lab-grown diamonds, whatever you're in the market for, when it comes to an engagement ring, the Jewelry Center has it. Find locations and inventory online at shoptjc.com.
My part-time service in the Army National Guard makes it possible for me to be more for the community I call home. My training helps me at work when I lead by example. My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my community and those I care about safe from threats. Learn more about how you too can live and serve part-time close to home by visiting NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Don't put your life on hold to earn a degree. Lakeland University has a long history of making students' dreams come true. Since 1862, build a schedule that meets your needs with options for 7- and 12-week courses, evening classes, and the ability to join classes remotely. Lakeland University is Wisconsin's leader in evening and online education. They have a main campus in Sheboygan County and 6 centers throughout the whole state. Lakeland University. Affordable, quality, flexible. Find out your next steps at info.lakeland.edu.
For It's On the Tee with Gabe Neitzel and Stephen Watson on 94.5 ESPN.
On the tee, and we are brought to you by our friends at Erin Hills. You know how much we love it. We were out there last week. Absolutely miss being out there. Can't wait till we get out there again. And hopefully you have the same feeling. Or if you haven't been there, you need to go check it out. ErinHills.com is the website. And again, they're hosting the 2025
U.S. Women's Open just about a year from now. AaronHills.com. Aaron Hills hosting a major championship. The major championship hosting venue for the PGA, Valhalla, did not add up for me, Stephen. And I think it was best capsulated by a tweet sent out by the great Justin Ray, does a lot of great stats work in the world of professional golf. In PGA championship history, this was the lowest scoring major according to par for the entire field. They were 214 under par as a field. Second closest, 1995 PGA at Riviera, 42 over par. So we're talking like 250 strokes difference between the two. This course was way too easy. There was no penalized bad shots. Like anything you did, and again, bogeys to a certain extent are self-inflicted. But I think of what happened to Xander on 17, hit a bad shot into the bunker. Whew, okay, here we go. Man, he's tied right now. Or it looks like he might be tied because Bryson's on the par 5. What's he going to do here on 17 out of the bunker? Doesn't hit a really good bunker shot, but didn't need to because he just had to throw it up somewhere around the green. Relatively straightforward pitch, gets up and down, stays at 20 under par, ends up being tied going into 18. It just kind of seemed like that was the case all day. There were no penalties for really hitting bad shots, which is how you get a bunched up leaderboard the way they had.
Yeah, I struggle with this, Gabe, because I just don't really care that much about the course element. I care more about what it means for the players, and I had a lot of fun yesterday, or the other day, watching this. You know, I had a lot of fun seeing a lot of guys in contention.
But it doesn't mean anything if you're not actually testing what their skill is. Like this to me...
If you're going to talk about this course, you have to talk about the weather, right? Like the weather played a factor. Just like it did
100%.
when you talk about PGA championships, like, and even you could talk about what happened at Aaron in 2017. Same thing happened in 15 at Whistling Straits. Like the weather was not what it should have been, and it led to really low scores.
But also, like, and again, maybe... it just seems like there was, I brought this up earlier with the Johnson Wagner. It didn't seem like Xander was in danger of hitting that shot on 18 with his feet in the bunker, ball above his feet. It didn't seem like there was actually a bad place he could hit it. Like one bad spot. Oh, short right, you're fine. Long right, you're fine. Just kind of pin high left, you're fine. Long left, yeah, you're pretty fine. You just can't hit one bunker right in front of the green in terms of getting it up and down to make your birdie. It just seemed like there was no penalty. And you weren't actually being asked to execute anything that's that difficult.
Yeah, but the penalty is pressure. And I think we saw that on Sunday for enough guys who melted under the pressure. I mean, Colin, Sahith. You could even say, I know we talked about Scottie not being with Ted Scott, on the Saturday round, but that was his first over par round in 42 rounds since last August. Like, the course... Collectively, of course, a lot of low scores, but that doesn't bother me a ton. The
low scores doesn't bother me either. I just want good shots rewarded and bad shots punished.
Yeah, but it's a PGA championship venue. Like it's not a U.S. Open venue. No, it's not the Open.
But I'm not asking for anything at even par, right? Like I don't want these guys hacking out of knee-high rough around 10 under par, 12 under par, which is kind of what the Masters is every year. And I think that's part of the reason why that I've learned I love the Masters so much.
Yeah, but no course is Augusta.
No, but they ask you good questions, and if you execute, you're rewarded. If you don't, you're not. And too often, bad shots weren't really penalized. They just kind of leave you in a spot. And like I did not think that really, unless you did something that Bryson did, and then he actually got away from it because he got a nice kick off the tree. Unless you just hit this huge hook or huge block, you weren't going to put yourself in danger of making a bogey coming down that stretch. Like there was no threat of giving one back. The question was, okay, are you going to make birdie or not here? Like that was really the only question for the guys at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, and Valhalla is known for being, you got to be long and you got to be straight. And the rollback of the ball is going to change that, right? For a course like Valhalla, there's a lot of good history there. I'm not defending Valhalla. I agree with you to a certain extent. Like I enjoy watching courses shine just as much as watching players shine. And I didn't necessarily see Valhalla shine. I would have liked to see more guys go for it on 13, the drivable par 4. You know,
that was just a dumb play, and the fact that Toasty did,
but
and then Spieth went for it, didn't execute it.
And Greller.
you were out. I mean, you were out of the tournament at that point anyway. So why the hell not? You know, why not go for it? Like Rory wasn't going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Bryson wasn't going to do it because it just didn't make sense.
Yeah, there aren't enough exciting holes on that golf course, but it's kind of what the PGA Championship is. Like when you,
but it doesn't have to be.
I think they should move away from it. But at what, like, you want to make greens harder? Is that ultimately what the solution is? Because
I want to say around,
length doesn't matter anymore.
Correct. So yeah, I think it has to be around the green, not greens in particular. Although it just seemed like every putt was left edge or right edge, except for Victor's on 18. That was like the one putt where he was putting for birdie to try to potentially get to 20 under par. That was the one that had a big break coming back. He missed it. It didn't matter anyway because 18, 19 under par was going to be third place for Victor anyway. But that was like the one putt all day. It's like, oh, you actually had to play that significantly outside of the hole.
Yeah. Well, I also think the other thing about Valhalla is length is what always protected it. Right? Like in 2000, Tiger won because he was the longest. In 2004, Rory won because he was the longest. This year, Hovland, Bryson, and Xander are all at the top. They're all long. You know who wasn't up there? Brian Harmon.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just what courses like that are designed for.
Especially when it gets wet.
It wasn't. Yeah, exactly. It wasn't the most exciting venue. Am I going to lose sleep over it? No, but I guess we got to always find something to complain about.
If we only have 4 of these per year, though, and that's nowhere in the end in sight, I would like not one of them to be like, yeah, of course, kind of sucks.
No, just bring it back to the straights and everybody's happy.
It's tough to do in May. He's Stephen Watson. I'm Gabe Knight, so we'll be back next week on the tee. Get the best of both worlds when you visit X Golf at American Family Field. Hi, it's Gabe Neitzel from Jen, Gabe, and Chewy and On the Tee. I love golf. I love baseball. And if you're like me, Brewers game days are the best when they're at X Golf.